Hello, everybody. Hold on. I'm kind of, hold up. Sorry, hold on. I kind of messed up. I was messing around and accidentally drank a potion when I was eating dinner. So, bear with me. I'm not used to this. Hold on. It just, yeah. Shoot. I don't even have, like, a step stool. This is messed up. I guess I need to buy a step stool. Okay, wait, hold on. I got this. I got this. Hold on. Wait. I just need to step on this ledge. I just need to step on this, on the shelf without falling over. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that wasn't bad. Whew. Tiring. Anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream. My name, of course, is Hexblade, your head guild master and chief barista. And look at this cute model. Look what I got. I'm adorable. I only got this in today. It's so cute. I'm so cute. Can you guys believe it? I'm so cute. It's crazy. And like, what? We got a lot of stuff to do today, so we don't need to, like, wait or anything. Let's just talk about it. So what we got? Oh, friend. Hold on.
Hello.
Hello. You interrupted
Hello.
me. You upstaged me. Hold on. There we go. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, you're small.
I'm small.
Small ma.
I'm small, ma. It's actually happened. I'm small now. I accidentally drank the small potion. I am now small.
No, not the Alice in Wonderland small potion.
That's a kink potion if I've ever heard of one. We're not talking about that one.
Okay.
You know I'm right.
Are you?
I'm okay. Hear me out. I'm always right though. Have you considered
You're not.
Have you considered the following? I'm always right.
What about that one time?
It was a misunderstanding. Fuck you. Okay, well, what stupid ideas we got up today for a majority of forbidden learning of today? Let's hear. Okay. Impulsive ideas, torture via roller coaster, secret business empires, and poor business decisions. I feel like poor business decisions is like, what? Really common? It's always like a good watch, for sure, though.
What do we got up first?
We got, just really bad impulsive impulsive decisions. Give me a second here. It's literally just titled hold on, let me just get over to the screen and I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the last stream was just yapping time. I don't know what you're talking about. We were just yapping. Oh, hold up. Too high. Okay. So we got... Oh, yeah, no. It's literally entitled, What Would Happen If You Swiped the Water Jet?
I'm trying to go back to see where that was.
It was the timestamp was somewhere on the 14th, or on the 12th. There's a couple of them that I wanted to do. Oh, no, I got bigger. Hold on, small. I'm gonna stand on the desk today.
Not the 14th of July, right?
June.
Okay. We're so behind.
We are so behind, and I don't mind. Because, credit. Last one is... What was last week's Finding Out Friday? It was like... Oh, yeah, no, it was also just still variations of bad business decisions. But that's always a classic, We always got to dunk on the venture capitalists. for,
Slightly off topic, but I'm so glad that in the year of our Lord 2024, people are someone can stream Bloodborne and get 100,000 viewers.
oh wow,
That is all.
neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me
He just wants people to remaster it.
honestly, yeah. Okay, let's start off with this first video. This was from Rose. I did watch this before, but I don't think I've shown you it, and I want to know your reaction. Okay.
Which one is this?
The Universe Coaster. I'm already streaming on Discord, so don't worry.
Oh, I may have seen this. I'm full disclosure. I've actually never played Roller Coaster Tycoon.
No, really?
Yeah.
Messed
I was
up.
a SimCity enjoyer. I'm sorry. My dad had a decent computer that could run SimCity 2000 for Windows.
Great. We need you to like, well,
I would watch him play Medal of Honor Allied Assault.
there's OpenRTC you could totally try, I bet. You know?
I'm more of a OpenRA enjoyer, if you know what I mean.
Oh my god.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
OpenRA is a reverse engineering of the Red Alert 1 engine.
What the fuck? I didn't even know
It's
they
like
had that.
Yeah, it's not super popular. It actually is getting a game made in it soon called Dwarf. Which looks really cool. I'll tell you about some other time.
Okay. Okay, let's watch.
Sad chat can't see my profile picture of just like Elfelt just.
It's Elfelt fucking
of tequila.
I thought it. No, it's whiskey. It's gray.
No, it's.
I mean, it's
bottle.
brown. It's brown. It's brown.
Tequila can be brown.
Tequila's brown?
Tequila can be brown.
I thought
clear.
tequila was clear. Oh.
It's clear if it's tequila blanco. If it's tequila añejo, it's brown because it's been aged like whiskey has.
Fascinating.
Fun fact: did you know it takes 7 years to make a bottle of tequila blanco?
Did you know that it takes 7 minutes for me to finish the tequila blanco? All right, let's get started with this. This video is fun just because exponentials are terrible, you know? Terrible as in terrifying. Death. No! Ah, no sound. Hold up. I forgot a button. I pushed a button. So let's just go back.
Imagine boarding a roller coaster train, not knowing what lies ahead. You think it will be a short, fun ride, but oh, how wrong you are. An hour after you board it, you start to get really worried, but the operators promise the ride will start soon. A week later, still nothing has happened, and by now your phone has ran out of battery, so all communication with the outside world is lost.
911 can't save you now.
Goes, and yet you still don't depart. Many seasons later, you see big flashes in the sky from some kind of war being fought by nations that didn't exist yet when you so innocently joined the queue. Thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years pass and you're still sat in the same place, not having moved an inch. Suddenly, it becomes unbearably hot and you realize that the sun has lived its life and is now exploding, obliterating everything in the solar system. Except for you. You are still stuck on the same ride.
The ride isn't over.
You will ever be free from your suffering. Welcome to the Universe Coaster.
Wow.
Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This roller coaster built in 2018 takes 12 years to complete. The next iteration of the longest coaster is almost 4 times as long.
It's a video from, what was it, Marcel Vos. It's a video called The Universe Coaster.
45 years, which later tripled to 135 years. Now, 3 years later, it is finally time for a new longest coaster. This one won't be 10 times as long, or 100, or 1,000. No, even a ride that's 1 trillion times as long as the previous coaster is nothing compared to the actual ride time of the Universe Coaster. So, how does it work and why is it so incredibly long? It all starts with the looping coaster, which functions as an incredibly long ride to have as the baseline. First, it simply goes forward until it reaches the minimum forward speed of about 1 km per hour, after which it has to travel the entire track at that speed until it reaches the middle. And this track is big. This is the largest possible map with a size of 254 by 254, and the looping coaster fills it up almost entirely. Traveling all this track already takes a fairly long time, but the fun has only just started. When it reaches the middle, after about 100 in-game years, it reaches the end of the track. Surely it will just crash here, right? Well, actually it doesn't. It comes to a stop and then starts to slowly reverse. Yes, this train is moving, even though it doesn't seem like it. About once every 4 seconds it advances 1 frame. When sped up 128 times it looks like this, which is still very slow. It now has to travel the entire track backwards at this minimum speed, which is a massive 32 times slower than the minimum forward speed and 4 times slower than the regular minimum backward speed that we used previously. The reason it doesn't crash is because the ride is in reverse incline mode. In this mode, it reverses out of the station, is pulled up by a chain lift, and when it reaches the end of the track, instead of crashing, it is let go to complete the rest of the track. However, you don't actually need to build a chain lift when you use this mode. You can simply build a small incline, which the train will reverse onto before immediately going forwards again. The game isn't prepared to deal with this. It thinks the train is still reversing as it has never reached the end of the chain lift or the track when going backwards. Therefore, it cannot crash. Why, when reaching the end of the track, it goes backwards at a speed 4 times slower than the normal minimum backward speed is still a mystery though.
It's so slow.
3,278 years, 5 months and 30.3 days after the ride departed, it finally returns to the station and is finished. Psych, this was just the first lap, out of a total of 7. This gives it a total ride time of more than 23,000 in-game years, or about 2.38 real-life years. And that's just the beginning.
I can't believe it lasts
The real
like an
fun
actual
begins
life
now.
game.
The long looping coaster is synchronized with the orange wild mouse coaster, which in turn is synchronized with this yellow wild mouse coaster, and so on down the chain. They're not synchronized in a normal way though. Take a look at this. It is a simplified version of the universe coaster setup. When the looping coaster departs, so does the orange wild mouse. Nothing weird about that. But then the wild mouse arrives at its second station, which is directly below its first station and also synchronized with the looping coaster. It will only leave this second station once the long coaster has come around again. Then it will go to its third station, after which it goes back to the first. So, for the orange wild mouse coaster to complete its track one time, the looping coaster has to complete its track twice. If we now look at the yellow wild mouse, we can see the same setup, with the orange wild mouse functioning as the long coaster here. Therefore, in order for the yellow wild mouse to complete its track once, the orange wild mouse has to complete its track twice, and the looping coaster has to go around 4 times. The pink wild mouse coaster multiplies this by 2 again, so for every time the vertical drop coaster goes around once, the looping coaster has to do its thing 8 times.
Yay.
But why are the stations in this very specific setup instead of just
it's hell
like this? Well, in this setup, the 2 stations of the yellow wild mouse are also synchronized with each other, and that is a problem. Since there is only 1 car on every wild mouse coaster, there will never be a vehicle in all
they will never
leave at the same
leave
time, so they can never depart and the whole thing locks up. Weirdly enough, 2 stations will still synchronize if they are 1 unit apart in height, and this is the key. If you build 1 wild mouse station 1 unit below the looping coaster station and the other one 1 unit above it, they won't synchronize with each other as they are now 2 units apart in height. These are now 2 different sets of 2 synchronized stations, and as soon as one of them has a vehicle in both stations, they can go. The compact design with the stations right above each other makes the chaining really easy, which is why we're using this design. Credits to JJ on my Discord server for coming up with this setup and helping me out with a bunch of other things as well. Back to the Universe Coaster. In this setup we have a few more than just 3 Wild Mouse coasters. In total there are 253 of them, each of which doubles the amount of times the looping coaster has to do its 7 laps. Why 253? Because you can only build 255 rides in a park, and the 2 other ride slots are already taken up by the long coaster and the Universe Coaster. The ride time of the long coaster is 2.38 years, and to calculate how often the last Wild Mouse in the chain does a full lap of its track, we have to multiply this by 2 to the power 253. This
big number.
Is a ridiculous number, but we're not quite done yet, as the Universe Coaster itself also adds to the ride time. In the small example, the vertical drop coaster had 1 train that did 1 lap, but this one is a bit more complicated. The Universe Coaster is a twister coaster with 4 stations and a total
Have I ever mentioned that I think I'm cute?
block sections, which allows it to have the maximum of 31 trains. If we look at the stations, we can see that one of them has both an entrance and an exit, while the other 3 only have an unreachable entrance. Therefore, guests can only
outlasts the burning out of the sun or some shit.
Yes.
Get on and off the ride at this station. The question now is, how many times does the last Wild Mouse coaster have to go around before a train that departs this station returns to the same station to finish the ride? Let's take a look at what happens with just the last Wild Mouse and the Twister coaster in isolation. Right now a train departs the boarding station of the Twister coaster, and behind it the red train enters it. The Wild Mouse is now in the next station, and there is a problem. Neither of the trains in the station of the Twister coaster it synchronizes with can depart, as there is still a train in the next
I think of clocks.
The game is clever though, and if this is the case, then the other ride can still depart anyway to prevent everything from locking up. So the Wild Mouse goes through the other stations and arrives at the first station again, having completed 1 lap. Now the bottom station of the Twister coaster can depart, since the block section in front of it has been freed up. Immediately after it, the train in the station behind it can also go, and after that the Wild Mouse completes its 2nd lap. When the Wild
relay
Mouse
clock
arrives
that broke
at the
your
first
brain.
station, once again, both Twister stations next to it are locked up, so it continues to its 2nd station. Here the top station of the Twister can go, and the Wild Mouse goes around for the 3rd time. When it finishes this lap, the red train can finally depart, and the next train moves into the boarding station of the Twister coaster. Every train on the Twister coaster has moved forward 1 block section now, which took 3 laps of the Wild Mouse coaster. Since there are 31 trains, doing a complete cycle of the Twister coaster will take 93 Wild Mouse laps. For 3 of these laps the train is just chilling in the boarding station, which doesn't count for the ride time, so the total ride time of the Twister coaster is 90 times that of the last Wild Mouse. We can now finally calculate the total ride time of the Universe Coaster. It is 2.38 years times 2 to the power 253 times 90. This is equal to 3.104508 times 10 to the power 78 years. Or if you fully write it out, it's this number. 3 quinvigitillion, 104 quatuor vigintillion, 507 tresvigintillion, and so on. Humans cannot comprehend how long this is, but I will
I can't even think about
give
it
you
either.
a sense of the absurdity of this ride time.
Big number though.
This is a grain of sand. It contains about 50 quintillion atoms. I want you to take one of its atoms, put it to the side, and wait 1 year. After the year is up, put another atom to the side and wait another year, and so on. By the time you have deconstructed just 1/10,000,000th of the grain of sand, the sun will explode. But I want you to keep going. After 50 quintillion years you will be done, and then I want you to pick up the next grain of sand and deconstruct that one as well. After that, pick up the third one and keep going until you have taken apart the entire planet Earth, which is roughly 10 nonillion times as large as the single grain of sand you started with. When this is finally done, we are still nowhere near the completion of the universe coaster, so let's start deconstructing other planets like Mars and Jupiter, and eventually even the Sun itself, which is about 300,000 times as large as the Earth. After that, we move on to the rest of the Milky Way, which contains roughly 100 billion stars. So we started at counting the atoms of a single grain of sand, then we did the same to the Earth, and now we're deconstructing the entire galaxy, which is so massive that it takes light, which travels at 300 million meters every second, 100,000 years to cross it. We still need to go bigger though. The observable universe is roughly 90 billion light years across and contains an estimated 2 trillion galaxies. By the time you are done counting every atom of every star, planet and gas cloud in every galaxy in the entire observable universe, you will finally have completed the new longest roller coaster ever built. I hope this helps you understand how ridiculously long the universe coaster really is, and why it blows all previous longest coasters out of the water. Now, I know that...
That's my favorite part, is that you just see them get off the ride, and they're like, I hated this.
And why it
I'm gonna go again.
previous longest coasters out of the water. Now, I know
I'm gonna go again.
RCT2 you can easily make even longer rides because of different synchronization mechanics and higher limits, but I built this coaster to be fully compatible with RCT2 Vanilla and Classic. If you want to see it for yourself, you can find a download link in the description. If you want to have it work in OpenRCT2, you will need to use a custom built version, which you can also find in the description. This is because for a very long time there was a bug which causes reversing trains to eventually go forward again, and by the time that was fixed, the synchronization mechanics were changed. Discord user Worm was so kind to take a version with the old mechanics, fix the backwards bug and provide me with a custom version of OpenRCT2 where this ride works. If you want to see me build interesting parks live and also play other games, you can follow me on Twitch.
Terrifying.
Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
It's so bad, it scares me. I love it. I'm just surprised I haven't seen it, had this on Finding Out Friday, you know?
I guess.
Okay. So let's see, what's the next? Oh, speaking of trains, have you seen this Adam something video about Tech Bros reinventing trains again?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to him.
You want to dunk on it?
I mean, I go either way. You put up whatever video you want.
Well, yeah, that's what you sound like.
I have ice in my mouth. I said,
Just
just put up whatever video you want because it's your stream.
I know.
Oh my god.
Here we go,
It finally
trains.
happened. Tech Bros discovered trains. Wow. And so the Tech Bros looked at this
Wow.
convenient,
I forgot how
tried
funny
and
it was.
tested
It was
system
good,
and thought, how could we make it worse in literally every way possible? Thus the Megrail was born by the company Nevomo, a Polish deep tech startup, whatever that means.
Deep
Future of
tech.
transportation.
I'm from the
Hyperloop
deep
inspiration. Hyperloop? That century-old idea Elon Musk pushed, which he later admitted was just a ploy to sabotage California high-speed rail so that people remain dependent on their cars so that he can sell more Teslas. That Hyperloop? Yeah?
Cool.
Okay, just checking. Nevomo's Megrail envisions being a middle ground between
he admitted that a
conventional
while
rail and the
ago.
Hyperloop.
He did.
Going faster than the former,
not
but
great.
not quite as fast as the latter. With Megrail, they plan to achieve 550 kilometers per hour on existing conventional tracks.
No.
They plan to do this with a type of maglev track built into existing tracks, which propels the train forward as the regular
Everything
steel
used to be
wheels
cool
act
when
like
it was in a
stabilizers.
retro
And so
futuristic
they envision
science
doing
mag
two
that
main things.
people just kind
First,
of like
retrofitting
snorted a
existing
bunch of
railroad
coke
stuff
and tried
with
to
linear
do.
motors so they can
You
go
know?
real fast and also move independently.
Oh,
Second,
God.
build a dedicated train, a pod for passenger transport and also for freight.
Passenger
because,
mag
fuck it, why not?
rail.
And this idea is a great example of people trying to innovate an industry they know nothing about.
Linear
Actually,
motors? No,
and so I will
you
explain
can't.
to you how the rail industry works,
No.
and also why Nevomo is peak idiocy. Let's dive in. So Navomo wants to do 550 kilometers per hour on the existing rail network. Great. Over here in the real world, we can roughly divide rail into 3 segments based on speed: regular, higher speed, and high speed. And each of these have wildly different parameters and requirements. Regular speed rail is everything from 0 to around 160 kilometers per hour. That's everything from the smallest countryside rail bus through modern commuter trains to intercity
instant.
trains. Higher speed rail is stuff approximately between
Yeah, it's pretty
160
good,
and
right?
250 kilometers per hour. At 200, the
We're
tracks
talking
already
about
need to be fully
Seribot, by the
grade
way.
separated.
Yeah, I know. I'm not talking about the train.
The
Fuck
more
the train.
advanced intercity trains
Train
belong
is
in this
fast,
category.
but they-
Trains are
Rail,
fast.
UIC.
Seribot is
High-speed
faster.
rail is stuff above 250 kilometers per hour. You need straight, very smooth tracks, often with a special concrete bed. There are no physical track signals, trains have to be airtight due to air pressure differences in tunnels, and so on. Think the TGV, the ICE, and the Shinkansen.
Wait, the
Currently,
Shinkansen's
fastest
airtight?
high-speed rail lines operate at
Neat.
around 350 kilometers per hour, but even that is rather rare due
like
to
you'd
its
have to
complex
be going that
requirements.
fast.
There are
I mean, I
actually
didn't
very
know-
few
I didn't
systems
realize
that
that.
need to or are able to
But then
operate
again, yeah,
350 kilometers
when you
per
like
hour.
go in a
Everyone
tunnel, it
wants to
will
steal one of
the
them,
vacuum
and
will
achieve
just
speeds
suck
of 550
real hard.
kilometers per hour with pods, all on the existing conventional tracks, as I said. And this is an idiotic idea for a shocking number of reasons.
Fucking pods again.
Navomo's rail passenger vehicle is
Can't
a
keep
pod
getting
because of
away
course it
with
is.
it.
The one big positive aspect of
I hate the
trains,
fact that you
one
can't
huge
link them.
flaming advantage
so
is the ability to
stupid.
move tons of people by hooking a lot of vehicles together instead of running a bunch of small individual vehicles. Trains are extremely efficient at moving people because they are highly scalable. Take a look at this double-track commuter rail line north of Budapest. This one moves 12.6 million people each year, and it's not
Oh.
even close to its theoretical maximum capacity, that being 576,000 passengers per day. If we run double Stadler Kiss trains every 10 minutes all day, they are chock full. That's 210 million passengers per year. When
Max
hooked up
capacity.
together, 2 Stadler Kisses can take 2,000 passengers when packed absolutely full, you see. Can Navomo replicate this? Well, the pods cannot be coupled together, and by the looks of it, each pod can take about 20 people, meaning you would need 50.
Who invents a train and like doesn't think about putting a coupler on it?
I remember seeing a video where there was this one train that actually had its couplers welded together for stability purposes.
That's what I'm saying.
The
Like,
train quieter.
who's like, let's not have couplers,
I'm just saying, there's like,
and it'll be
was
better
there
than the
one time
existing
when it
solution.
was like, there was one time where they did it, but it was for to keep the cabin quiet.
Yeah, but it was like one time, and no one cared. You know?
Well, it's more the project failed. 'cause the
Exactly.
Soviet Union collapsed,
Who would have thought?
so there was no money.
Oh no, no money.
There's no money, so we can't do our project.
Oh no, we lost funding. I wonder
Oh,
why.
no, the entirety of the Eastern Bloc is collapsing.
Maybe I shouldn't have spent all that money on hookers and blow.
Maybe I shouldn't have spent all that money on nuclear programs that didn't go anywhere.
Maybe I should have spent more money on hookers and blow. Oh well.
Of these things just to achieve the capacity of one double-decker Stadler Kiss or 100 for 2 kisses. And you
Also, I keep seeing these, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is just a baguette. Why are we comparing
it's
trains to
probably called
baguettes?
A Hon baguette.
Hahan baguette.
don't just need 100 pods, you also
Tech
need
bro
100
baguette.
train drivers, and good luck getting that many. Even with our current
Tech
ultra-efficient
bro
system
baguette.
of one driver for up to 2,000 passengers,
I
there is
don't
a
like that
personnel
idea.
shortage on most railways. But then some tech bro will inevitably go, what about automation, bro? No. Here's why. ERTMS is slowly being rolled out across Europe as we speak. It's a way to unify that absolute disastrous mess that is all the different systems in every country. Do you want to run a train across the continent? Get ready for having to cram a dozen fucking boxes into the driver's cabin, each with its own proprietary system you have to learn. ERTMS solves this problem. You only need one box, one system, and one set of sensors on the outside. And the reason we need all this complex crap is because trains are big, long, fast, very heavy, and there are a lot of them moving around at the same time on the same network, all at different speeds and towards different destinations. And I am not talking about American rail here. Compared to Europe, American long-distance rail is a fucking joke. Aside from the 2 lines where there is an okay service, you have on the lines, what, 2 pairs of trains per day? That's not a rail service, that's a traveling exhibition. I'm talking real service. 2-3 long-distance trains per hour at peak times. That sort of thing. With such frequencies, we really want to avoid running trains into each other. But except for the Czech Republic, they seem to love passenger trains. And the way you avoid this is by knowing exactly where they are going, and planning their routes accordingly. ERTMS does that for you. The system is very advanced and it is capable of automatic train operation, basically self-driving trains. But even then you need a driver on board to supervise. Driverless trains aren't yet viable on a large scale, even with state-of-the-art tech. For the time being, you cannot have driverless trains. Nevomo cannot have driverless trains, which means their independent, self-driving railcar idea is basically dead in the water. And for their passenger pods, they would need to hire hundreds of drivers to provide any semblance of a regular service. Which is like saying you'll open a water park in the middle of the Sahara. But even if you somehow manage to get
Guess
enough
who's done
drivers
that?
and build enough pods to start running these things at a frequency higher than
Saudi
speed,
Arabia.
you'll very soon run into another problem, no pun intended.
They'll think about it. It's a great idea.
German high-speed rail is kinda shit, in a European context anyway. It's still a miracle
Dang.
of God compared to American rail. But compared to
See,
places
the
like
problem
France
is
or
Europe
Italy,
has this,
it's
Germany has
rather
a similar problem in
underwhelming.
America, which is
Last
a
year, the
huge ass auto
punctuality of
industry
German
that
long-distance
doesn't like
trains was
public
just
transportation.
64%. Punctuality here is measured by a maximum 5-minute delay at the destination. Meanwhile, in France, long-distance trains were 87% punctual. That's because French high-speed trains mostly run on dedicated tracks, while Germans operate what's called a mixed system. That's code for we want high-speed rail, but we don't want to make it too good because it would cut into the profits of our auto industry. Anyway, mixed traffic means that high-speed trains mingle with regular rail traffic on large sections of the
Volkswagen and
network.
Mercedes
While a French
upset.
TGV can pretty much zoom through the entire country at full speed, not encountering
Yeah,
any unscheduled
Volkswagen
holdups,
basically
a
made
German
this-
ICE
Oh,
often needs
wait,
to
no,
make multiple
oh,
unscheduled
oh,
stops.
nope,
Because
can't
people
talk
took
about
too
that
long
one.
to get on enough a commuter train, which caused a freight train to bunch up behind it.
Volkswagen
and
made
the train
basically
accelerated
Germany what
so
it is
held up in
today,
Hero
but
City
don't
for
think
10
about it
minutes,
too
which
hard.
already left the station where the ICE could have gone around
I mean,
it,
there
so
are a
now
bunch
the
of
ICE has
companies
to
that
stand for 15 minutes at the
pre-import the
station until the track ahead clears up.
No, it's the same reason why we don't talk about the origins of Fanta.
But hey, at least their car industry is doing okay. You think I'm joking, but one of their
I
political
guess, I don't
parties,
know.
the Libertarian FDP, is likely under the direct control
Fanta
of
at least has the
Porsche.
excuse
Alright,
of
so how would
the
Novomo
company
fare in a
existed
mixed traffic
before
environment,
World War
also
II.
known as 99% of the European rail network?
guess so.
Let's see. The passengers have boarded, the signal turns green, the ERTMS module is live and buzzing with energy, the driver hits the button, and the the fucking pod, starts accelerating towards its miraculous 550 km/h top speed. But then, a stop signal, and you have to wait for 15 minutes for the track to clear next to the ICE. Surprise, surprise. And even when the pod starts moving again, it can only go as fast as the train in front of it, maybe a bit faster until it catches up. You cannot really overtake trains ahead of you. Only a few stations have side tracks where slow trains can
Overtaking
overtake higher
trains
class trains.
does
But
not
even if you did
exist.
have enough side tracks at every station and you could clear the whole track in front of your pod, why should an ICE, Eurocity, Intercity,
God, what if a
any other
train could
for that
overtake
matter, with up
another
to
train?
1,000 passengers each, wait around and collect
What if
relays
trains had
so that
lanes?
20
Metro
people can zoom
Exodus
past
is
in a
for you,
rolling dildo.
Alma.
So in reality, even if the
Oh,
Novomo pod
no.
is technically viable and key decision makers smoked enough crack to consider it a good idea, the pods would only be going by 140, 160 km/h, maybe 200 on most lines. They could realistically do
I love how
320
aggressively
or so on
European
dedicated
he is in
high-speed tracks,
contrast.
but for that,
I know,
you would need
right?
to retrofit
Trains
hundreds
are
of kilometers
great.
with magnetic third rails costing multiple billions, just so you can run a very small train at the exact speed as the existing system while providing a worse service compared to high-speed trains where you can get up, walk around, go to the bar or restaurant and so on. If anything, Nevomo really betrays the shallow, lizard-brained thinking of tech bros. In their world, more speed equals
I love
more
hating
good.
tech bros.
But speed isn't everything on railways. There are also things like frequency, coverage, convenience, price, capacity, ease of transfer, punctuality. You can have the fastest train in the world, but if it runs once per day, hauls 24 people max, and one ticket costs 600 euros, then
I mean,
nobody
that
will
seems
take
really
it.
inconvenient living on a train.
I'd live on a train if I could, to be honest.
Okay, so
B- b-
Nevomo
b-
is a
well,
complete non-starter for passenger traffic. How about freight?
I watched
We also want to do
Snowpiercer. I
freight
never
routes
want to
because of
be on
course
that
we do. And
on
we
a
have
train
made
for longer
video
than a
about this
day.
already, about basically the same idea called the hyperport. And the question any
Or else I'll
freight
overthrow the
enthusiast
system
should answer here is,
unintentionally.
why do you need to haul a container at 550 km/h on land after it spent 2 weeks on a cargo ship and 1 week at a port container storage? Why is it imperative that after a 3-week trip, the container gets to its destination like a day earlier? But here, let me show you a magic trick from the real world. I am a factory manager, and I sure need shipments of components from China. I need 1 container per day, and I have one now, but tomorrow I'll need a new one.
I
How
love
will
the
container
StarCraft.
make it here
I love
today,
StarCraft.
all the way from
The StarCraft
China?
music.
The next day.
The
Whoa,
next
look,
day.
a new container. How did it get here so fast?
I love the
Did
Terror
they
Bird
build a
one
cargo hyperloop all the way to China? No, it's called supply chains. If you need one container per day, your supplier in China can just send one your way every day, so after the initial lead time, you'll have one container coming in each day. Or you can just write an email to the supplier well in advance and order a whole bunch of
Literally
So what
Death
I'm saying is,
Stranding.
this whole
Ni
mega
hao,
cargo
ni
pod system is made
20
obsolete
containers.
by Gmail and the wall calendar.
Infrastructure.
Putting down a high-tech third rail filled with copper might seem like a good idea when sitting in the Tech Bro fret house, but in the real world you have to deal with things like cable theft, which is a constant problem even when set cables are dug deep into the ground. Putting that copper-filled third rail in a very easily accessible spot would guarantee theft pretty much immediately and at a large scale. If your train hits a pried-up panel at 550 km per hour, there is a good chance it will derail, killing everyone in the process. But even if there is no theft in your world, going 550 km per hour on conventional tracks just won't work. Even on a completely empty track, you need to slow down at level crossings, especially if they don't have barriers. You have to slow down inside or near urban areas, because at 550 km per hour, you would generate a ton of wind, which would blow out the windows on any buildings sitting too close to the tracks.
I didn't even
knock
think
over
about that
fences,
one, to
wreck
be honest.
gardens, and so on. It would also blow out the windows of trains passing on the other track, so you would also need to slow down whenever you pass one. But the track itself will also limit you, no matter how much tech you cram into it. Have you ever wondered why high-speed rail tracks are often made of concrete? That is to prevent high-speed trains from kicking up stones and damaging stuff. At 550 km per hour, you would need tracks that are fully concreted, otherwise you would send large stones flying everywhere. Meaning, once again, you would need to slow down.
It would
Curves and
self-sabotage.
switches are also a problem.
Fantastic.
If the curve is built for 100-120 km per hour, which is quite common, then that's how fast you'll be going on it, regardless of your propulsion. The alternative is either smashing passengers' heads open on the windows or flying off the rails. No matter how much future tech you pile on existing infrastructure, you won't be able to escape rail geometry. The same goes for switches. They are certified for certain maximum speeds, with high-speed switches sometimes being more than a kilometer long. However, even the fastest switches cannot handle 550 km per hour unless you insist on getting derailed. You're gonna need to slow down. Not to mention everything around and above the tracks. The trees, the catenary poles, the overhead line, the signal systems. None of these were designed with 550 km per hour in mind. Should a pod pass at that speed, many trees would topple over, the wire would break off, poles would start swaying wildly, eventually wearing down their foundation. It would be a complete disaster.
Everything falls
Unless we invested
apart.
billions and billions into expensive, heavy-duty retrofits for the sake of a fucking pod carrying 20 people. What are we even doing here? To sum up, the Megrail is an idiotic, completely unfeasible idea in basically all aspects. The pod design is an efficiency black
Honestly,
hole,
we should just
the
make more
service cannot
trains.
coexist with existing rail traffic, and the current tracks are absolutely unsuitable for speeds of 550 km per hour. The only way you could potentially make this thing work is if you built completely new, dedicated infrastructure. Here's an idea. We could run a bunch of these pods on them, all hooked together into one long pod to increase efficiency. We could call this revolutionary system,
Oh,
I
wait.
don't know, high-speed rail. So yeah, the Megrail is stupid. Oh, and they want to use AI to maintain trains because of course they do.
No.
These type, man, this time they got pretty close. They almost
No.
built an actual train. Almost. Anyway, I figured I might tackle this Megrail bullshit since it's been floating around me for a while. If you like my content, consider
wonder
becoming a patron on
what happened
Patreon
to the
or a
startup
member of the
now.
channel here
I
on
hope they're
YouTube. Thank you
dead.
for watching, and I'll be seeing you next time.
In the water. Ooh. This next video is from Rose 2. This one's a good one. This one's neat. It's a hacker conference. Yay. Non-Euclidean Doom. I'm a little concerned. It's like what happens when a game when pi is not equal to 1 or 3.14159. Fascinating. All right. I'm ready for it. Take me now. I'm ready.
Alrighty, thank you for the warm welcome and thank you for being out and about at almost 11 o'clock at night. This is non-Euclidean Doom.
it's
If
10
you are here for Euclidean Doom, you are in the wrong room. So to begin with, Doom, classic first-person shooter,
Doom.
Space Marine fighting invading demons from hell.
Yes.
Released
classic.
1993. The initial team was only a handful of people, John Carmack being one of the main folks behind it. It was open sourced in 1997 under nonprofit license, and then open sourced under GPL in 1999. And there's a bunch of ports. I'm using Chocolate Doom, which is a port that intends to be very true to the original game. And it was shareware initially, so you would download it, and then you could play it. And then if you liked it, to buy the full game, you would send id Software some money, and then you could have the full game.
Imagine.
So this is what it looks like.
How much of this did you know already?
All of it?
Oh, okay. I don't know how much you know about Doom history.
I know Doom's freeware. And I know what freeware is.
This is.
I mean, shareware.
When Pi
Fine.
is just a little off, so it looks mostly fine.
Which is basically just
I meant the
demo.
GPL stuff and like
all right. So
that part of it.
let's take a very
Okay,
very
I didn't
brief
really know the
segue to
the fact that it was
1993.
GPL, but
The minimum requirements for the game was a 386 with 4 megabytes of RAM,
Real quick,
running a very very
some
small.
brief Doom open sourcing trivia?
yes.
So it was they actually had to pull the open source release briefly because the version they initially open sourced was, I think, the DOS version, and the audio driver in the DOS version was actually third-party tech they had licensed,
And they
so
couldn't
they
use
ended
it
up
for it.
So you know what they did?
Did they have to remake? They had to like write a whole driver?
No, because they already did that when they released the Linux version. So they just open sourced the Linux version.
Oh, fuck it. Just, yeah, sure.
Which they did. To be clear, they did not open source Doom. They open sourced the engine, the WAD, which contains all the actual game.
Yeah, the WAD is
It's still
that's why
proprietary.
yeah, that's why everybody can they say it's like you can freely distribute the engine, but the WAD you have to get by yourself.
Yeah, which it's so cheap and easy to get.
Yeah, but like,
Whenever I see someone saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, where can I pirate the WAD?" people are like,
bro,
it's cheap as fuck."
it's $1 or whatever.
Anyway,
320 by 200 resolution, no 3D acceleration, and networking. Not TCP/IP, it was IPX.
What the fuck
And
is an
also
I?
1990
Hold up, what the fuck is IPX?
there's a lot of networking technology that predated IP. IP didn't become big until the like 90s.
What is
Like,
no?
well, it's
What the hell? What is IPX?
some boomer networking shit. Oh, it's a Xerox technology, or derived from one.
No wonder.
Unsurprising.
Hold on. Let's get a chart. We like the chart. Man, this does not mean
didn't
anything
help.
to me. That didn't help. What's
Is there like a compared to IPv4 or some shit?
this? None of these charts are helping right now. This is nothing. None of these are helping. Man,
Just look out like.
it's like you can tell. It's like you can tell I'm not A+ certified. I wouldn't know this bullshit.
What do you mean? This isn't going to be on the A+. This technology.
That's the joke. That's the joke. I tried to study networking, and they told me about ring networks, and I'm like, are you insane?
Alma, but some places will be using ring networks.
That's what I'm saying, though.
But no one's going to be using this. There's no ISP that probably even supports it still.
Of course not. Anyway, let's just not.
93, we had Hacking at the End of the Universe. So the predecessor conference to this conference was also taking place at that time. And a very, very brief segue to Hacking at the End of the Universe. I just love the description from that conference about there will be a guarded depository for your laptops and valuables, and you might get your stuff back. And then also, you could make payment at the door, which we don't have now. And then very important, bring many guitars and laptops was for 1993
Many
Hacker
guitars
Camp.
and laptops.
So anyway, back to Doom. So John Carmack wrote the networking stack for it, and he made a big mistake. He thought that only a couple of packets would not cause any problems when people were playing the game networked, but it turned out it did. So you could actually, there were denial of service attacks that were caused inadvertently by people playing Doom. So you would have a few dozen players that could completely cripple a network with a few thousand endpoints. And then there was a lot of network administrators at universities that wound up banning Doom or restricting it because it would literally take the network down if you were playing the game.
Good job.
And the other thing is it runs on everything. People have ported Doom to all sorts of platforms, including your badge. So runs on Doom.
Oh, that's actually kind of neat. Oh, it's on it's FPGA.
Sylvain Lefebvre did the FPGA port, so it's actually an FPGA port of the game. Game originally, of course, was written in C. So pi, we all know pi, the ratio of the circumference to the diameter of a circle.
It's 3.
Well, this is going to be some crowd interaction here. Right?
It's 3.
4.
1, 5, 9, 2, 6, 5, 8. Shit.
Nope, that's not right. But that's what the original game was compiled with. So rather than
wait, 3.141592665.
It was compiled with 7, and then one person said Happy Pi Day.
9.
The source code includes an incorrect approximation of pi instead of the correct one. I hope someone got fired for that blunder, which is very, very mean. Especially again back in 1993.
That's a joke,
it was
but
not that easy to just go online and get the value. And then John himself admitted it. He incorrectly recalled the digit of pi.
So he just fucked it up.
John, I think we forgive you for this mistake. It was not noticeable in the game, and it was left in the source incorrect.
Oopsie. Oopsie-doopsie.
So, of course, where does pi come up in Doom? Well, there are some lookup tables, and this is the original source. So, lookup tables, do not try to look them up. So that's in the original source of Doom. And then the order of appearance, so there's one lookup table for tangents. There is a binary representation of angles. They're doing some bit shifts. Everything is memory constrained. It's 1993. Sine lookups, guess what? It serves as cosine too because you can just shift it. Remarkable thing is how to use BAMs with this. So unanswered comment in the code. I guess some things don't change since 1993.
Unanswered comment.
And then tan to angle, arctan, lookup table, maps the tan of the angle to the angle fast, got a search. So this is in the original source.
Yeah.
And now you say, like, well...
Lookup tables are important because for something that might involve a lot of calculations, trying to get a tiny little processor to do that a bunch all the time will cause problems and slow down. And that's why lookup tables exist.
Part of this is because the id Software boys kind of represented a big transition away from the big game developers on DOS being like bedroom coders to being like people with computer science degrees.
Yeah. So they're like, it'll work. It won't work well. Okay, now we need to make it to work well.
Like these guys got smooth scrolling on a for Commander Keen, which was originally going to be a Super Mario Brothers 3 clone / port for DOS, working on a system that had no sprite acceleration. That was all running on CPU.
Oh God, good for them.
Like, I mean, one, CPUs just had become that good at that point, and also they were very smart people.
Yes. I'm a very smart people. Okay, I'm not very smart.
Scrungly.
I'm smart.
The fuck, there's a TF2 update?
Hell yeah!
They fixed bugs.
Yay! What'd they do?
Updated taunt Canet to fix missing file flies particle effect.
Did they update the localization
backpack
files?
Image for the impact impaler. Updated the violent viridian unusual effect to fix a visual bug. Update / added some tournament medals. Updated CP Hadal. Updated PL embargo. Updated Koth megaton. Updated PD atom smash and updated Koth sawmill event. Neat.
Neat.
Also, apparently,
It's-
they posted a link to some like community like sign up for some kind of team thing, 7v7 shit that I don't know anything about.
Ooh.
It's just a lookup table. But why would you do a lookup table for simple trigonometry? This is the initial values of the lookup table for find sign. It's just a simple trigonometric function. Why would you even do a lookup table? Well, the reason for that, I'll go into in a little bit, but this is the source, for example, for calculating the find sign lookup table.
Math.
Again, very, very simple, doing some very basic operations. You know, it doesn't really seem to make sense why you would need a lookup table for just some trigonometry.
Math.
But never forget, this is why. So the game is going to be running on this, right? So no 3D acceleration. You're going to be having to make all of those queries fast. And it turned out that in 1993, the way
Small
to make
crunchy
those queries
scrumbly
fast
computer.
was to pre-compute a lookup table. And then the value of pi is embedded in those lookup tables.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to change pi, and then we're going to figure out whether it compiles and whether it plays. So first, we're going to make pi equal to 2 pi. Okay, so does it compile? Anyone? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it play? No.
Oh.
I know. Not fun. All right. So now we're going to make pi equal 4. Does it compile? Yes, it does. Does it play? Also not fun. The hyperbolic values are not very, very good. We're going to make pi equal to pi. Does it compile? Actual pi, not the wrong value. Yes, it does compile. Does it play? Yes, it plays. And
Does it
of
play
course,
better?
The game looks like normal because it was changed at the 10th digit, so that's very, very far out. So you don't really have a difference in terms of how it looks. But remember how this looks, because this style of playthrough I'm going to do for the other values. So
This is gonna
what it
change
looks like. With the correct value of
fast.
pi, everything seems to
guessing.
be very logical and makes sense.
This makes
Now.
sense.
Pi is equal to 3. Does it compile?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Does it play? Yes, it does. Now it gets
Oh.
interesting. All right, so here's the non-Euclidean doom. All right, so you can see that in the demo that plays in the beginning of the game, it's completely shifted. So this is the same script that plays in the normal Doom, but it winds up killing you because the game isn't expecting that dynamic.
Out of sync.
Now, we're going to see what it looks like
Desync.
when pi is equal to 3. So you start to see things kind of move a little bit.
Oh.
So things are a
Oh,
little
snap.
The audio have
the
that
walls are
weird
moving in a
static.
way that you do not
I
expect.
think that's part of the presentation, unfortunately.
And so
No,
things
it
start
is.
to shift.
I've just, it's
Right,
odd.
so
Oh, no.
because
Wow,
it's
that's
non-Euclidean now, there's
Oh, no,
a
vector-
straight line is no longer the
Vectors are
shortest path
snapping.
Oh, but
between
these
2
aren't
points.
vectors.
And one
You
thing
know-
I was
you know what I
curious about
mean.
is
2D.
whether the shots would actually be
Oh,
straight.
God,
And
did you
weirdly
see
enough,
that?
Yeah,
the
what the
shots were
fuck?
straight. That's probably because of the target protection that they were doing. But everything else
Chocolate
starts to
Doom is
kind of
screaming.
be a little weird.
I don't
but-
think we're at
but
the screaming yet.
It's playable with pi equal to 3.
I just like how the map just kind of
and,
like snaps
so that
around a little bit.
starts to look kind
That's
of
funny.
interesting. Now we're gonna make pi equal to
E.
Does it compile? Yes.
E
Does it
time.
play? Also yes. So now it'll get a
no.
little more interesting.
E's like what, half pi?
All right.
Or is
so
it no? E's like
now-
2 point something
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's dancing. Yeah.
Oh. Man is not able to comprehend the. Oh God.
Yeah. With enough intoxication, you
Oh.
can recreate this.
Oh no. Oh no.
And then the other funny thing that happens is they disappear if you move, or they kind of jump left and right as well.
no.
But it starts to, yeah, it starts to get really funky. All right, pi over 2.
All right.
Does it compile?
Smaller numbers.
Does it play?
Smaller
Yes, it does.
Oh,
All right,
fuck.
it's getting more interesting now. So now it starts to.
Oh,
just
that's the
be-
value of E 2
yeah,
point. Okay.
It's It's
Oh. Oh.
little, yeah, pretty hard to play at this point.
Oh no.
And then
Oh,
like
God.
the wall boundaries are also kind of get in the way. But there's still collision detection here, so it's not that easy to clip through walls even with this kind of rendering.
Is it just
So yeah, this is
rendering
pi
wrong,
equal
or
to
is like
pi over
more
2.
stuff wrong to it?
All right,
Oh,
pi equals 0.0001. Does it compile? Yes. Does it play? Surprisingly, it does. All right.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
That's-
Just
yeah. Unfortunately, it plays, but not a very fun game.
okay.
All right. Pi equals 0. Does it compile?
I love
No, that's right. It does not. Divide by 0. And of course, it doesn't play.
-1. -1.
Negative pi?
Yeah. Come on.
It compiles. Unfortunately, it does not play. That one would have been good. -1 million. Yes, it compiles. Unfortunately, it does not.
Negative numbers. No.
So there's the table for the values I tried. I'm curious if there's other interesting values for those lookup tables that could make this game.
So it works between
also kind of
positive
interesting.
values limit of pi.
So if you want to try this yourself, you can get Chocolate Doom.
Oh no, we could do
You
this.
can
ourselves.
modify the value of pi right in the source. There's 2 functions that generate those lookup tables, so they're normally commented out because those tables are pre-generated. So you uncomment them, then you generate those 3 lookup arrays, save those lookup arrays,
Boing.
compile. There's a builds tool that helps with the compilation as well. Then you download a map file of your choice. So everything here I did was on Doom 1, the original, but you can
It
try
can't
this
be
on
changed
Doom
in
2
real.
and
Well, no,
other
because the
games
lookup
and
tables
see-
have to be
See
compiled.
how it looks and enjoy it, and you could try this yourself.
Enjoy.
So to end off
Okay,
with,
sure.
I want to go over some other projects. So one person, for example, did ray tracing Doom. So this is making the game look better. So it's the original game, but with ray tracing. This was done
Pretty.
by Soul Team. This is open source as well, if you'd like to see this. Ray tracing in a game that's from 1993 is kind of interesting.
They did that with what? Was it
JPEG
Unreal?
injection. This is also really, really interesting.
no,
so
Quake 2.
this is a JPEG that's 117 kilobytes, normal JPEG. or
Implying
it
Tim
looks
Sweeney
like
wants
a normal
anything to
JPEG.
do with.
Normal image,
Okay,
you can
fair.
download it. It
With
renders
Unreal.
fine. It's a JPEG image.
Shit. Okay, wait,
but
hold on. What the
if
hell
you
is going
take
on?
this JPEG and you save it as a Doom save file, and then you load it, there's going to be something interesting that happens. And so this is a video of that. That's right. Code injection via JPEG that has been renamed.
Oh wow.
Incredible.
Wow. That's crazy.
All in 117 kilobytes. So that was a great project that was done
Cool demo.
by KGSWS.
Crazy.
There's other non-Euclidean games. Weirdly enough, they all look kind of similar in terms of kind of spatial orientation. So there's a great, Xenorogue did a great post listing a lot of new games that were deliberately made to be non-Euclidean. If you'd like to read through them, there's a great post there that lists, I think there's over 20 at this point, where they all kind of do different things with geometry. And there's a fun little tidbit, which is, so now that there's this incorrect value of pi that was placed in the source code, well, like, is this value, have other people just copied this value thinking it was the correct value of pi and used it? And the answer to this question is yes.
Oh,
So
2,000
and then
projects.
Most of these are not forks of the game. So these are just new projects where someone copied this incorrect value enough times that there's now 2,000 code results on GitHub that use the wrong value of pi. And then on Google, there's about 4,500 results. I don't know how many of them reference Doom and how many of them are just people incorrectly copying the value. But if you want to look through those code results, there's the GitHub link. And that's all. So thank you so much, and happy to take questions.
It's kind of funny because I think I remember at one point, like, I wanted to, like, I think I showed off, like, a non-Euclidean game for Finding Out Friday. And I was tempted to, like, play it when it came out, and because it wasn't out yet. Let me find the trailer for it. Yeah, I can't believe I immediately... Nope, wait, nope. That's not it. Game. Hold on. For non-Euclidean game. Hyperbolica. That's what I was thinking about. Hyperbolica. Yeah, 2 years ago. Wow. Meow. It looks like a fun game. It's just, oh god. It is, though, very disorienting, clearly. But it seems fun. Oh, it was released on Pi Day. Cute. Someone did a non-Euclidean Sonic level? Oh, no. Oh. Okay, that looks good, though. Oh, that looks cool. I do want to play, like, some non-Euclidean game just to mess with people on one day. Because there's also, like, 4D golf. And 4D golf seems fun, too. Like... This one only came out recently. This one's crazy. Also, generally just trying to figure out how to make this one work is not going to be fun. Customizable golf ball. The ideal. I genuinely am just trying to figure out what is even the gameplay for this game, because my brain will hurt. Yeah, that's the best part about 4D, is that you can scroll through the slice, but it does make things just... Oh. Imagine playing in VR. I'm pretty sure this actually does have VR support. Does this have VR support? I'm scared to know. Oh, good. I don't see anything about it. So we're good. It's a 4D game projected onto a 3D space, rendered on a 2D screen, and understood by my 1D brain. What? W. I didn't get it. $20. Might be worth it. We will see. Ah, there we go. Here's one of the first ones. This is the Waterjet channel. About sticking your hand in a on a 60k PSI waterjet. Because that's such a great idea that normal people have with normal thoughts. Right? Definitely. I think. Let's see what happens, though.
Every time the water jet is running, there's a weird primal urge to swipe your hand under
Swoosh.
it as fast as you can and see how bad it would hurt.
Would be a slight score? Would it tear through your hand? Would your hand be gone? We shall know.
Today we're gonna put these 3 ballistics gel hands through a series of tests, mainly involving the water jet, but a few others. And then we're gonna x-ray them, and we're gonna see what
pain.
kind of damage is done to these poor guys.
I can
Quite
assume at
impressed.
least.
There's even skin pattern on these. This poor specimen looks like he had fibromyalgia. Looks like we got a little osteoporosis going on
Owie.
here. Got some mesothelioma on this guy. So that's what that feels like. I'm 90% sure the saw stop will be activated by this. Okay, we're gonna start with a swipe.
Imagine I was adjusting something on the jet and accidentally slipped and went.
Yeah. Or you gave in to the primal urge and you just, you know, you risked it all.
You risked it all.
Interesting.
I wonder how.
Oh.
Well, you'd be missing the tip of your finger. The bone would still be there.
Oh, there
For the
goes
most
your
part,
oh, there
it's
goes your
a little
finger.
chunk out of your bone right here, but your flesh would most definitely be either hanging off or gone.
Gonzo beans, as they
Yeah,
say.
Oh.
that was quick. I mean, I just swiped that through pretty fast.
Yeah.
No. Oh, that one got caught.
Say you fell asleep with your hand on the cutting table.
Correct. That happens all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I'm always getting drowsy out here. And you're just, you know, your hand's sitting there, and uh-oh, here comes the water jet as fast as it can move. And we'll see how bad that damage is. Oh, that's some
Yeah, your hand's
Yeah,
gone.
Don't,
All right.
Don't be drowsy while working a water jet, people.
Yeah.
It
That's
almost
some-
goes through the bone.
That's
Now-
bad.
Rips the
Now,
flesh off so
now that's some
easily.
damage.
Yikes. This
Oh,
is what the
no.
slow motion footage looks like. For some reason, it sprayed back and covered the entire camera lens.
God damn it. Oh,
We're
you
gonna
can
do
kinda
one
see it.
final swipe test here across the palm.
Medium fast speed. See how well it goes through the bones. It was honestly hard to move once I got it into here and it ripped its way out.
Oh.
Yeah,
So,
like
like
it got stuck right here and then it was like pushed down and stuck and you had to kind of rip it out this way.
Safely
Oh,
investigating
that's an entirely
industrial
terrifying
accidents.
factor that we never thought of.
Man's
The water
hand is
actually grips
gone.
onto your hand. You have to physically pull it through.
Oh, like
Oh.
it shoves you down and holds you there.
Yeah, you might want to just hold your hand there and wait for somebody to turn off the jet.
Ugh.
You'd probably get
Oh.
less damage just waiting for somebody to turn off the jet than trying to pull it out. It didn't go all the way through anywhere though. Oh, nope, right there. Right in the middle, it went all the way through the hand.
Oh
That's where it
no!
Yeah, look at that. Oh, it's pulling apart. Like you can simply just. So don't mess with a water jet at kids' home.
Yep,
That's it.
that's what they say.
That's.
I can't believe we're 3 minutes in and we've got an answer that I did not want to know. Oh.
Okay, now we got the clear one. We're going to pierce right here on the palm. We'll have a nice view of it, and we'll see if there's any garnet stuck or what happens.
It'll be a great cross section of the hand.
Yes.
Hmm. PSI. It jiggle.
How's he doing? Yikes.
Well, he's most
Oh.
definitely got a hole in his hand. And right through the backside, right through the bone and everything.
You know what they
Ooh,
say
oh,
about
wow.
people with holes in their hands?
They've got bony butts.
They sure do.
Literally perfect hole right through both of those.
Well,
Wow.
put me on the list of people who don't want that to happen to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Thank goodness I have no intention to use any heavy machinery ever. Ever. Forklift certified? Nah. Have you seen how dangerous those things are? You could like take out somebody's shins with that. Real bad.
They're powered by propane.
Pierce test on the fingers.
Propane. How is it powered by propane?
It's a combustible fuel almost.
Oh, okay. Why propane?
Okay, this is the swipe
It's easier.
test with
You
no
don't need to
abrasive.
pull it up.
60,000 PSI
Having a jerry can of gas around is
your
not safe.
fingers.
And you don't need to keep it near a pump. You can just get a propane canister that you can buy anywhere, or just have a bunch of those cans in storage that keeps them safe because the can is already safe.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yikes-a-roni.
That looks like you might not have fingers
hours
anymore.
and hours of work.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yep.
gave you a
Oh,
really nice
oh,
shape.
that's through the bone.
Oh, yeah. You
Oh,
definitely have
no.
diabetes type 2 after that. The old D-glove trick.
The D-glove trick will come right off.
I hate looking at this, but I must observe. Oh. X-ray time.
No, I scheduled a consult to see if I could X-ray these.
So if you want to wait in that room right there, he'll be right with you.
Okay.
I
perfect.
broke the
While we're
bone.
waiting, reminder to send us things to our P.O. box. The info's in the description. Hey, man. Why did the skeleton jump in the washing machine?
Why?
Because he was drunk. Tough crowd.
Are you okay if you're, I mean, your fingers are going to be in that a little bit.
Yeah, I can Photoshop it out.
Just kind of holding that.
Okay. A little radiation never hurt nobody. Well, the
X-ray
good news is your
noises.
bones are intact.
Your bones are safe. Your muscles are not.
Yeah, I'm sure you have it. All right, let's say you fall asleep with your hand in
Ah,
the hydraulic press.
oh,
That's
fuck,
the
here we go.
fingers. And somehow you don't hear it or notice it's coming down, and the person operating it also doesn't notice.
Imagine sticking your hand in a Cybertruck door.
Oh.
Yeah, that hand.
Some
Oh,
broken
those
bones.
fingies are gone.
Completely flattened. That's
Oh,
not bone
dear.
anymore.
Real bones wouldn't squish, they would shatter, but I would assume it's about as hard as a normal bone. I don't know. Well, palm test. Yeah, it would hurt.
Imagine sticking your hand in a Tesla door.
Oh.
Your hand is gone.
Oh,
It's just-
falling off.
It's just gone.
So long.
Oh, oh,
Well,
no.
That's what we have left.
Don't do that.
New bottom surgery.
Okay,
This
we're
is
now
the
gonna
this is
test
the
worst-case
this is
scenario
the hydraulic
on
version of
the
Mickey
table
Stick
side. We have
Smasher.
our saw
Yeah.
stop here.
Ridiculously high.
So let's say for whatever reason you have your saw stop all the way up and you come in full
Whip it.
force on the blade here. We're just gonna drop it because that's probably fast enough.
It's gonna like whip out.
We also don't want to be anywhere near it.
It's gonna hurt
We'll see if
somebody.
we can get to bone. We're gonna drop it on the palm
Meow.
like this. For those who don't know, the saw stop uses an explosive to launch a piece of aluminum that's specifically designed to stop these blades, and it's incredibly fast.
Oh, neat.
Ah, scary.
It just launched it.
It got demolished.
Huh. Oh! Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, there it goes.
It did stop though, didn't it?
It stopped,
It did stop.
but it wasn't the kind that saves a limb.
no,
if
it,
you...
it did not save a limb.
Well, that's terrifying.
That is horrible.
Oh, there's half the hand.
Oh my gosh.
No.
It cut the hand in twain.
Right in two. I thought we had the good saw stop.
Well, at least it's blinking red, showing us that something bad happened.
Oh no, there's the brake. It just didn't work.
Oh, the brake didn't
Where
work.
his bones are? They're hanging from the metal.
That's hilarious.
And then these are just, oh, look, even the bones in half. Do not touch a table saw.
Let that be a lesson to you,
Debone.
just missing the middle finger.
So the middle finger just is gone.
So there's the table saw, and that is where the middle finger ended up. Oh, there's the rest of the finger.
Picking
That's
up hand
probably
parts off
40
the
feet
machine
from the
floor.
table saw. That's crazy.
Oh, okay, let's see it.
Oh,
Oh my.
wow.
Your
That
hand
is.
is gone.
It didn't even really stop.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Ah, there it goes.
Well, don't touch a saw blade when it's running.
It literally chopped that middle finger off.
Although the ballistic gel works on a touchscreen, it might not be the same as the technology in this, so I'm assuming that's the problem, not the saw.
Pizza time. Yes, I think that makes more sense that it's probably something capacitance or some, I don't know what I'm saying, something.
Yeah, it's a capacitive.
It's a
got an
capacitance. It's a
electric- it's an electric
capacitance
field.
thing. Yeah. It's probably what's wrong with it. So it probably wouldn't like. Well, I mean, you know. Oh well, I guess. Ooh, this one's from Tokai. I'm sad that they aren't here to see it. But it's about
They
music
can
theory.
watch the VOD.
They can
Yeah.
watch the VOD. What? Wait. Yeah, they can watch the VOD. Flock is mentioned, and I don't know anything about
If you're at
Flock.
all someone who considers yourself to be a game music aficionado or retro game enthusiast, you've probably heard of Tim and Jeff Fallon, who composed the soundtracks of multiple NES and SNES era licensed games.
I just
While
like
most of
beat
these
boops,
games never
man.
spawned any large franchises, remakes, or sequels, they are still talked about today because of how revolutionary the soundtracks were. Sadly, only a few weeks ago, Jeff Fallon passed away. So in this video, we'll commemorate the brothers' works throughout the years and see what made these soundtracks so game-changing.
Music theory.
I'm not particularly good at biographies, so I'm just gonna go through some of my personal favorites from the Fallon brothers' works. Tim's earliest video game tunes were for the home computers of the 80s, like the Commodore 64 or the ZX Spectrum.
Ooh.
Definitely one of the coolest things about the Fallon brothers' music is simply how good it sounds, despite the technical limitations of the system it was released on. The ZX Spectrum's audio capabilities seem rudimentary even by NES standards. There was a simple beeper that could produce 1-bit audio across 3 channels, meaning 3 distinct voices.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, that sound was crunchy. Let's hear a few examples.
Funky. Oh! Oh, I like this one. Oh, it's
Tim wrote some music
crunchy.
for a few games on the ZX Spectrum, such as Chronos or the aforementioned Raw Recruit. And yet, my favorite track of his on this system wasn't even for a game. As far as I'm aware, it's an original composition of his that was published in the Your Sinclair magazine, which talked about gaming news primarily for the Spectrum. And when I say published in the magazine, I don't mean sheet music. They printed the hex code and readers were encouraged to painstakingly transcribe it into their computers, which would then run a program that plays
That's
the
how
tune.
you had to do it
But
back
their
then.
hard work definitely
Yeah, I
paid
know,
off
I just
because
like-
this is the tune that plays.
Usually, I mean, usually it's like, hey, you should, you know, you copy here, like, here's the code, not here's the fucking hex. The hex is crazy.
Program that plays the tune.
Also, the magazine came with a cassette.
To painstakingly transcribe it into their computers, which would then run a program that plays the tune. But their hard work definitely paid off because this is the tune that plays.
It sounds like farts, but it's like good. The time signature changes too are good.
I honestly could not believe my ears when I first
Crunchy.
heard this. It's a bit crunchy for sure, but what I love is how bold and unapologetic the tune is. It doesn't sound like it's working around any limitations of the system. With only 3 voices, there shouldn't be a lot of room for harmonic
It's like
complexity.
PC speaker
and though
music.
the chords as vertical slices aren't
I've
anything
seen
super
people do
exciting,
impressive stuff
the
with that.
movement between
I've seen
the
people
chords
play
frequently
MIDIs with
breaks out of
PC
any
speaker
sense of
music, and I
tonality,
love that
creating
shit
this
so
moving
much.
sequence of
I
chords
loved how
with
crunchy
hardly
it got.
any relationship between them. We don't feel like we're in any key for more than a few measures at most, and any pockets of tonality are modal. The beginning sounds a bit G Mixolydian, but then later we have this darker B Phrygian kind of sound. It's just really all over the place. But even with pretty much everything playing in a rhythmic
Jazz.
unison, it's relatively easy to hear the distinct melody, harmony, and bass lines. And it comes together with these sequences of interesting chords and time sig switch-ups to create this almost prog rock-like groove, which is something we will definitely see a lot of in the brothers' later tunes as well. But overall, my favorite thing about this tune is just how tonally ambiguous it is. It definitely has that kind of 80s sound for me, especially in that first line, but I otherwise couldn't really say what emotion this tune makes me feel, or even is intended to make me feel. I also would have never in a million years thought of anything like this if I was asked to write a 3-voice tune for a tiny speaker to be published in a computer magazine. Simply bananas. But anyways, a few years later, Tim would begin to work more on home console games, starting with the NES. One of his most well-known tunes from this era is the theme from Solstice.
I feel like I've heard this at some point in my life.
I'm sure we've all heard this at some point. Oh. Okay, now I know. Now I hear it. Now it hits, you know?
Another unbelievable banger. A lot of really cool things are happening here. After this cheeky, plinky intro, we're thrown into these sweeping chords that seem impossible given the 5-voice limitation. The NES has 2 pulse channels, usually for melody and harmony.
Alright, what black
triangle
magic
for
did he
bass.
manage to pull off with this?
1 noise for drums, and 1 versatile sample channel, which we'll take a look at in a second. But what this means is that chords with more than 3 notes are typically impossible, but Tim employs a technique here that arpeggiates these chords, playing each note in quick succession, giving the illusion of this grand sound. Another subtle thing that's so cool to me is the usage of the sample channel. Other NES games
what
have
is the
used this
sample
channel
channel?
for surprisingly coherent spoken words.
Hi, let's play hide and speak.
But in Solstice, this channel is used for just kick and snare samples. This isn't particularly uncommon. Super Mario Bros. 3, which released in the same year, also used this channel for drums, like this steel drummy tom.
Brown. Brown.
Whereas in Mario, the drums are meant to be evocative of a particular style. I'm fairly certain the drum samples in Solstice serve the more utilitarian purpose of allowing the kick and snare to play underneath the cymbals, which are all produced using the noise channel. All of this, of course, serves to have bigger and more realistic drum parts, and this pursuit of realism does seem to be a goal of the Fallen Brothers compositions. One thing I find hilarious about this tune is that Solstice isn't even some epic action-adventure. It's pretty much a puzzle game with light adventure elements.
It's just
the title theme
Solstice.
goes so unnecessarily hard, but who cares? It sounds great.
Yeah.
Shortly after
Oh,
Solstice,
hell yeah!
Jeff joined Tim as co-composer of the Silver Surfer game, also for the NES. Let's take a listen to the Level 1 theme.
Let's go. Oh, this is where it is. Oh,
This tune starts
It always
with a
sounds so
fanfare-like
good.
intro using the same arpeggiation technique and drum layering from Solstice. But one immediate difference I really like is the programming on that lead. Despite being a simple pulse wave, the delays, bends in and out, and whammy-like vibrato on that last note makes this melody feel like it's being performed on an actual electric guitar. It takes not only such meticulous programming, but it just sounds so intuitive and natural, almost like it was actually played and then squashed into 8 bits. And then afterwards we have this insane guitar-like riff that similarly grooves so hard, and it only gets better with the drums kicking in and the bass playing the same groove an octave lower. I'm not even sure what else there is to say. The tune is just really good and strangely only gets better. These prog-like influences are only becoming more prominent. A bit out of order, but while working on the script, I found myself listening to one soundtrack that I unexpectedly really liked. And funny enough, none of the tunes are even original. Blizzard's Rock and Roll Racing on the SNES, as the name would imply, features mostly arrangements of rock tunes. I'm especially fascinated by that cover of Bad to the Bone, that one song from Megamind.
I'll always be a villain.
Okay, but for real, take a listen to how good this sounds.
Oh, that guitar. Ooh. Is that a sample?
That intro riff just has so much color.
Wow.
Just like in Silver Surfer, all of the guitar programming just feels so lifelike. Even though the SNES supports a wider array of sounds and it's literally a sample
SNES, so mostly samples?
There's still so
Ah,
much
okay.
care taken to make these bends and slides sound authentic to the original. During the parts where they're singing in the original, it's thoughtfully replaced by this wailing lead electric guitar type sound that somehow
I'd like
has
to hear the
even more
Mega Drive
character.
version, though, to be
Everything down
honest.
to the attack, length of each note, and
Like, for real? I mean, we could probably just look it up. What's there? Rock and Roll Racing. Mega Drive. Ah!
So much worse.
Oh, that's so much worse.
No, you see, the Genesis had the better sound chip. We see the NES, or the SNES had a better sound chip for just fanboys.
Oh, it sounds.
I'm just saying, by and large, if you compare Genesis games to their SNES counterparts, Genesis games are going to sound worse. I know there's an explanation for this. The explanation is that aside from a handful of niche situations, this NES has the better
The
sound.
problem is that Sega sucks? Who would have thought?
No, I don't think Sega sucks. I just think it's not as good. It's an older chip. It's fine.
intuitive slides just match the original vocal quality so perfectly. I just thought it was pretty cool. I've heard a lot of licensed music in video games, but this is really one of the few that I feel like is almost worth listening to alongside the original. It's just that well programmed.
Your generation doesn't get FM synths.
But on the topic of the SNES, there's probably no better game to talk about than perhaps the Fallen's most famous one. Plock for the SNES is a simple, colorful platformer featuring
Your
the
generation
pictures
does
of
get
Bob
FM
as he
synths. I do
exterminates
get
fleas
FM
who
synths.
infiltrated his
Excuse you.
island. One of the most iconic Fallen Brothers tunes can be heard in the beach theme.
Oh, now. Yeah, this fucks now. Alright, here we go. Oh, that stereo. Yeah. You could hear it. It's like rotating around my head. I like it. Bliss. Wow. It's a toe tapper.
This just really feels like the culmination of everything we've heard thus far, and yet still so different. It leans more prog than just straight rock, replacing the guitar riffs with these scintillating major 7
It is
chords that
crazy
just move
prog,
around in
though.
constant structure. And the time signature is 7/8, with this repeating long, short pattern that gives the tune so much momentum. And the entire track is also tuned slightly sharp to A447, which to me at least makes it feel so bright. And this Moog-like synthy sound is also a cool departure from their more guitar-heavy tunes, yet the more prog rock sensibilities remain. The harmony is so out and meanders from this E major-ish sound down into B flat major a whole tritone away. But even still, the harmony establishes this 1 to flat 7 kind of sound, feeling a bit modal, especially with that B flat staying consistent in the bass. And then completely out of nowhere, the groove switches up to this 4/4 funky city pop-ish kind of sound. We jump into G major, and the synth chords now have this complex, jumpy, slidey rhythm, which is just pitch bends and volume automation. It's similarly cool and modal. We have these spicy C minor, F, and B flat chords, and the bass
Spicy.
hits Fs and E flats, all of which giving some sprinklings of a G minor kind of sound. Tim has said this section was intended to evoke a Stevie Wonder kind of vibe, and I can totally see that. The unison horns come in with the melody, over these chords that also jump around to interesting places, and of course shortly afterwards there's a gratuitous guitar solo. It's just such a frenetic sound that seems almost impossible to accomplish on the SNES. I could definitely be convinced that this came from a whole generation afterwards. There's the familiar depth of articulation programming that we've seen in their previous tunes. Notes are held slightly longer with fades to simulate reverb or delay. The notes in the intro are panned left and right for this cool stereo effect. And even guitar fret sounds are simulated with MIDI data. As the legend famously goes,
Ooh.
Shigeru Miyamoto himself, upon hearing the Plock soundtrack for the first time, thought it was an elaborate prank and took apart the game to understand how it sounded so good. That's not a joke, by the way. Supposedly that actually happened. Composer
Wow.
David Wise even stated that when it came to video game
David Wise,
scores,
the
his
goat.
inspirations for Donkey Kong Country were Mario, Zelda, and Plock, which is just hilarious to me, but also so well deserved. I find it really cool
Wow.
that pretty much none of the Fallen Brothers games had a lasting cultural impact apart from the music. They never made a Solstice 2, and Plock got his indie platformer spot in Smash taken by Gwimli. And yet these games are all still talked about 35 years later. I suppose that's just the power of great music. The fact that I'm not even the first
Mike,
music theory
you need to
YouTuber to
see
talk about the
Gwimli.
Fallen Brothers says enough. Speaking
Oh, hey,
of
look,
which,
it's
I haven't even
Pictionary.
scratched the surface. There are so many other bangers I didn't even talk about today, like their work on Pictionary or the Spider-Man X-Men game. So go take a listen to those, and also listen to the full versions of the songs I talked about
Pictionary.
today. Legendary tunes which absolutely deserve their spots in the Video Game Music Hall of Fame. Rest in peace, Jeff.
I mean, I was kind of being like trolly before Sister Rose, but I will say, like, unironically, that does.
I want to hear
like,
I want to hear a live performance of this, honestly.
Your justification for it being hard to develop for is a very Sony like PS3-esque like justification, like, oh man, the PS3 is more powerful than 360. It's just a shame
just means it's more
hard to develop
complicated.
for that it ran like shit.
You mean that it's too complicated? Like,
Yeah,
yes,
like
you
the
could
PS3 absolutely could like have you seen The Last of Us 1? on
like
the
you could
PS3?
like it could
makes
mod shit.
every th-
Problem
it
is
makes
that
yeah, and then you play Skyrim on the PS3 or Fallout 3 and then you're like, oh no.
oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. Old FM Sims for the original PS, maybe not the PS2, because I know the PS2 wasn't necessarily the easiest, but it was so like low end comparatively that it didn't matter. Like people were okay with developing for it. Anyway, airport, fake restaurant. I don't know, remember if I saw this or someone
Yeah.
else's video that it
It's
was
about
to the
it's a,
similar effect.
tis about fake restaurants and airports and why none of them are chains. Which is
Yeah.
kind of weird, but fascinating.
I wonder how many airport restaurants I've worked with that are fronts
Fronts for what?
for whatever this shit is.
I mean, probably, yeah. Anyway.
Have you ever noticed all the weird restaurant names in the airport when you're hungry?
Drink Martini Bar, Soho Bistro?
Could they not have thought of something less generic than New York Deli?
Every day, millions of us visit restaurants and bars and terminals across the country that have driven up to 59% of non-aeronautical airport revenue.
But why would any of that responsibility be put in the hands of these seemingly fake restaurants? I got curious and started digging into three things.
First, how widespread they are. Second, who's behind them. And third, why do airports choose to work with them?
What I found was a world of generic restaurants that aren't so generic after all.
Okay, before we go deeper into this, when I say fake, I don't mean these restaurants are breaking the law. These are legitimate businesses. They're just not your typical franchise or the cozy local spot they pretend to be. A bagel from New York Deli doesn't taste like a bagel from a New York deli. It turns out there's a whole landscape of these wannabe recognizable establishments stretching from coast to coast. Crazy fact time, every point on this map indicates an airport that hosts fake restaurants. But here's the thing, I did some digging and learned that one-off, airport-specific dining isn't a new trend. Turn back the clock. Apparently, one-off airport restaurants started popping up in the 1930s.
Walnut
The
room.
idea was
Air
to make
conditioned.
high-class waiting room, ticketing, and
restaurant facilities to attract and retain customers. Since flying was very pricey and limited to the wealthy, airports wanted to rake in more dough than their captive customers were providing at the time. They went big, targeting not just travelers, but non-travelers too, and turning airport dining into tourist attractions. Guys, people came for birthdays, dates, and
Come
even
to the
Thanksgiving
airport
Thanksgiving
for the
dinner.
food.
Who goes to the airport? Get ready, guys. We're going to the airport for Thanksgiving dinner. Actually, that sounds kind of cool. Like, could we bring that back? Over time, the number of passengers started to grow.
some water.
By the 90s, airports were stacking their rosters with franchise players. Things rolled this way until the early 2000s. After 9/11, higher levels of security slowed things down and forced travelers to spend way more time in airports. This ramped up the need for more food spots, and that's when we saw a lot more generic restaurants taking up space.
Like Jersey Mike's.
Let's use JFK Airport as an example. This is a map of Terminal A. Look at all these dining spots. I recognize some of these instantly. Global chains that we can find almost anywhere, but others, not so much. I don't know. I don't know who these people are. I started to dig into it and I found something interesting. Out of 18 eateries, 12 are generic. But here's the catch. Out of those 12, 4 are all under the same umbrella, OTG. Turns out, OTG is a concessions vendor. It's time to say hello to one of our main characters, Rick Blatstein. Rick started his career
Why
as
do they
a
always have
successful
names like
nightclub
this?
owner. In 1996, he launched OTG as a single restaurant with the goal of delivering a great restaurant experience that just happened to be in an airport. He got the idea.
He hasn't
when a
done a
friend
good
asked him
job
to
so
manage
far.
some
I'll be
restaurants
real.
and bars
Last
at
time I went to an
Philadelphia
airport, at least.
International Airport. His first weekend there saw a blizzard that packed the airport with passengers. He told Smart CEO magazine that he called his wife and told her that he was selling everything and focusing on airports.
What?
The company now operates more than 350 locations across 11 major airports. And they're not even the biggest player. Vendors like HMS Host have
I hate to be
separate
woke, but it's a
restaurants and
Jewish surname.
locations from Los Angeles
Oh, okay.
to Vietnam. But there's still one point that doesn't make sense to me. Why work with the operators of generic restaurants rather than
I didn't think
exclusively with
about that.
franchises? That's when I came across this. On average, planting golden arches in an airport terminal costs $45,000 per franchise. Wait, it gets much better. A Baja Fresh Express can cost between $202,000 and $690,000.
Side note, what the hell is a Baja Fresh?
I have no idea.
What the fuck is that? I've seen that brand twice and I don't know what it is. Baja Fresh.
I will give Sega a slight bone in the Saturn because they were scrambling to adjust for the PS1.
Casual Tex-Mex.
Saturn achieved its goal of being 2D powerhouse, and if that's all it ever tried to do,
What?
it would have been an amazing console.
What is your menu? Tell us your secrets.
This food looks like shit.
This looks generic. Well,
This looks like Taco Cabana, but worse.
it looks edible for sure. Burrito. I almost read that as Burrito Ultima, and I'm like, what? What
Copyrighted,
the
too.
fuck?
Enchilado style. What the fuck?
Enchilado.
Yeah, the Dreamcast was good. I mean, to be fair, by the time CD audio came around, pretty much every console had good sound, except the N64, but I didn't have a CD. So, excluding the console that stuck with the cartridges.
Very specific. Wahoo! Wild Cost Crispy Wahoo!
Sister Rose, I might have to track this picture down, but there was some psycho out there who heavily modded a PS1 in order to use it in his hi-fi sound system in 2024.
I remember this nonsense, and people started selling
people were-
PS1s at an exorbitant price because of hi-fi reasons.
And people are like clowning on these dudes because it's like it's not a bad DAC, but by modern standards, it's like,
just a
it's so
CD
mid.
player.
It's a 90s CD player. It was good for the time.
It's not gonna.
It has not held up.
It's not gonna suck your dick.
I'll post this.
Unlike the new hi-fi ones, apparently, which are so good that apparently it feels like your dick's getting sucked.
No, a lot of hi-fi audio is scam.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what it's advertised as.
Yeah, like people are like, oh, the PS1 was where it at, man. It's like, no, not really. I mean, it was good, and you can still use it for that, but like, don't mod a PS1 just to play CDs.
Yeah, no, you can do other things.
That's
like
what
play
your
games
Xbox
on
is
it.
for. Yeah, play games on it. Or get a PS2.
No. Xboxes are meant for just playing DVDs.
They're bad at that though. They're literally worse than the PS2 at that because you need a dongle or you need to mod the system.
It's funny.
They didn't want to pay for the licensing costs for the DVD stand.
God, this looks terrible.
Americano taco. This is why McDonald's fakes the pictures for their food.
Even these real, but probably real pictures look like ass. Like
I hope this is the real food because it is fake food. They didn't do a very good job.
Yeah, if this was fake food, I don't believe them. Actually, looking at it, this is probably real food pictures.
Probably cheaper to get the prop food. It helps you dodge lawsuits if people say your food looks bad. They're like,
Well,
no,
they haven't.
Sucks. That's your fault, idiot.
Wow, this quesadilla looks like it was made by a 3-year-old.
That looks like a quesadilla I might make.
It.
When you were a kid, did you ever just take a flour tortilla and put butter on it and just eat it? I did that as a child sometimes.
What?
Did you mishear me? Are you like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying, what the fuck are you saying?
Listen, this is just a Texas thing. You wouldn't get it.
Fucking Texans, man.
Listen, you just have tortillas in your house a lot of the time.
Well, yeah. I mean,
We're not the level of like.
I don't blame you for the tortillas. I sometimes have tortillas in my house too, just kind of for free, just for fun. But
not
like
New Orleans, where you constantly have a baguette within arm's reach.
Yeah, but just like the idea of I'm gonna eat a tortilla with butter. Sounds like the most bachelor-ass thing.
I would be like 6 years old. I was a child. It's like eating buttered bread or buttered noodles. It's like
at least that's good and actually is a thing that normal people eat. I've never heard anybody buttering a tortilla.
It's bread. It's just bread.
Yes, I get that it's bread, but you don't eat tortilla. I've never seen anyone eat any tortilla like that ever.
Oh, fun fact: Catholic lore related to Japan.
Oh, here we go.
Catholic Portuguese missionaries invented tempura for Lent.
Yes.
Just entered the
Brazil.
The Brazil connection.
The Brazil connection continues. Yeah. I'm just gonna call it quote unquote the Brazil connection because it's just really funny. Anyway, apparently that place that sells the fake, weird-looking real food, real food, Tex-Mex food, costs a lot to open a location.
$5,000. Yeah. That's not including tech or equipment costs. Operators also need to pay ongoing fees to the franchise in addition to rent to the airport. By creating generic restaurants, vendors gain the flexibility to run the show, free from the franchise fees. So what's in it for the airport? Operators like OTG allow airports to simplify management and streamline operations. They make life much easier for airports by handling all the legal, regulatory, and logistical hurdles in such secure spaces. With airport security being so tight, they simplify hiring by including FBI fingerprinting and background checks for all their employees. And by managing multiple brands, they eliminate the need for the airport to negotiate with multiple franchisees. While it's still not cheap for vendors to produce all of these restaurants, airports offer a steady stream of captive customers, which has worked out very well for OTG. In part, OTG was able to see that initial growth through a customer experience that started when Rick spotted a problem.
As I spend all my time in airports, I see people sitting there lined up like they're going to go get a root canal. I wanted to turn those into something special. So we had a unique opportunity at Delta Airlines in JFK. Their Terminal 3 and Terminal 2 were very, very poor terminals. So we went to Delta and said, listen, we want to do this here. Give us your toughest gates. We'll do a 90-day deal.
He suggested a plan that included installing iPads on new terminal seats to allow passengers to order food on command.
We spent millions of dollars to do it. We'll let you do this and try this.
Oh, it's that ordering system. I've seen those
or
sometimes.
Increase our seat count, and you need to maintain or increase our aisle space.
And it paid off.
Customer service scores in the Port Authority dramatically increased. And the people started tweeting about it, and the press started to write about it. Those areas that were forbidden territory forever don't need to be that any longer. Let's take care of our customers.
Studies show that people drop more cash when ordering from iPads. 11 years later, the company altered the experience again when it launched mobile ordering at its airport locations in 2023. This has all led to OTG establishing an industry standard.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Not every airport is filling its roster with generic one-off restaurants. At Portland International Airport, there's another strategy at play. Of their 27 eateries, only 1 is generic, 11 are well-known chains, and 15 are businesses unique to Portland. While the fake restaurant trend shows no signs of slowing down, airports like PDX that focus on local businesses may demonstrate a viable way to support local economies without sacrificing.
I think Boston International
So,
does this
next time
too.
you see one of these random fake airport restaurants, remember, it's a lot less random than you may think. If you like this story and want to learn more,
Very simple
subscribe to
video,
the
but
Hustle
very
YouTube
interesting.
channel for the latest business news.
It's just like, you know, franchise fees do suck. I get it. So, neat. Neat, neat, neat. Neat, 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 neat. Okay, speaking of edible things,
Boy.
this one is from PBS, everybody's favorite local broadcasting station. About
Favorite PBS show as a child?
Zoom.
Zoom.
I love Zoom.
All right.
What does this?
This one is about how a science mishap how a kitchen mishap changed science forever.
Whoa.
I wonder what that means. And the thumbnail was a picture of seaweed. Gee, I wonder
Sounds
what.
about right.
What does this adorable and thrilling new blush I just bought have to do with this? And this? And this? It's seaweed? Oh my god, it's so heavy. Or more specifically, agar.
Agar.
Is a material that's
I think
made
I've heard of
from
this.
some kinds
Yeah.
of seaweed. It's this gel-like substance that has all kinds of uses. And yeah, it's a big part of the cosmetics and skincare industries, used as a thickener and a stabilizer. It's also used in agriculture as a soil additive to help soil hold on to water better. It's even used in some restoration techniques to help conserve ancient and precious art pieces. But would you
I didn't know
believe
that
this
one, too.
seaweed substance actually started out as a kitchen accident? In fact, seaweed's role in the kitchen is actually why it changed science forever.
I love hearing about how big industry and life-changing science discoveries are made on accident.
Yeah, those are really good. Well, that's why.
Microwave.
That's why this
actually
series.
understand
This is why I like
how
this
agar,
series.
this
It's
unassuming powder
specifically
that
about
comes
that
from
idea.
Seaweed became such
They have a
a part
microwave
of
one,
all
we
of our
should watch that
everyday
someday.
lives. We've actually got to talk to someone who's going to tell us agar's origin story. Hi, Yuki. Hello. Thanks for having us in your kitchen. And that's a story that starts thousands of years ago and involves noodles.
So we're gonna make seaweed noodle called tokoroten, which is, yes, it's very nice, simple jelly noodles. Believe it or not, this seaweed noodles, it's been around since Nara period. We cook the seaweeds for a long, long, long time, hours and hours.
Wow.
But now we dry it out and then make a powder like this.
Ah, much more convenient.
Yes, so it's just cook for about 3 minutes.
So how did we get to this from seaweed?
A Japanese shogun was passing around the mountain one day and he caught a very bad storm. So he has to go somewhere to stay.
yeah.
So he found finally inn and then they served the most basic local food.
Okay.
And then that was a tokoroten.
Oh wow, because it's such a classic dish.
Classic dish. So after the meal, innkeeper left the dirty dishes in the side of the room.
It's relatable, just leave the dirty dishes.
Exactly. And the next day, innkeeper found the leftover noodles dried out and also crumbly in the cold. So then he adds water to dish it and then back to the slimy.
So it
noodle again.
rehydrated it, became
Yes,
noodle
it
again.
became like a tokoroten again. I was like, oh, that's kind of convenient.
So just because this shogun left some noodles in his dish and the innkeeper didn't wash them right away, he found a way to make this powder that allows us to make this really common, lovely dish much
Some
faster.
little lazy accidents.
Gives me hope.
Yes,
Gives me hope
still
for
nowadays we use it all the time. So
It wasn't even like a lab accident or anything. It was just like I forgot to do the
lots of
dishes.
like sweet from Japan. And they're much more refined as well nowadays. It's much less seaweed, kind of distinct seaweed flavor.
Sure.
Or too strong odor, like smell as well. So it's much more clean.
Yeah.
And simple. So it's really not disturbed other sweetness.
Sure, you can add other flavors and
fruit or
overpower. How's our agar doing?
So now it starts in boil, right? So then you're ready. So I'm just gonna pour in.
Okay.
Simple. So just let it cool. Oops, little bit tight.
Just a little tight squeeze.
You can do it.
It happens so fast. It's so exciting.
Noodle
Oh,
press.
that's fabulous. And so, how do you eat them?
Classic tokoroten is savory one.
Ooh, I love it. I love how simple it is. It looks delicious.
Ooh.
You need to slurp. That's the way to eat. This tokoroten is good with a hot weather as well. So it's not going to be melt as well.
Oh my God, yes! And this special property of agar, that it doesn't melt in the heat, is actually why it changed science forever.
Oh. Honestly, eating those seem really good.
So,
Cold
in the
noodles?
1800s,
Great.
One of the biggest challenges that science was facing in its day was how to grow microbes like bacteria and fungi in a laboratory setting so we could understand more about them. See, to grow microbes, you do have to give them something to feed on, something with the nutrients they need to grow. Now, people were doing this at first on things like a potato, but as you can imagine, this was a little messy and uncontrollable and unpredictable, so things got a little more sophisticated when they started using gelatin instead. Now, gelatin is made using animal hooves and bones, and it has a couple of advantages because it's pourable, so you can pour it into whatever vessel you'd like to grow your stuff, and it's clear, so you can really see what your microbes are doing. But it does have one major disadvantage, which is that it melts. One of the main things about microbiology is that you need to be able to incubate things. You put the microbes in a warm little cupboard so they'll grow nice and fast for you to study them, but you can't put gelatin in an incubator because it'll basically just turn to soup.
Goodbye.
In fact, gelatin is so delicate that it'll even goopify just on a hot day. And in one particular lab in Germany where they were discovering all kinds of bacteria and really needed a clean and simple way to grow them, the hot days in summer were messing up all of their gelatin and they couldn't make any progress in their science. But luckily, the answer to all of their problems actually lies in the kitchen, thanks to, enter stage left, Fanny Hess. Oh, sorry, no, this is not Fanny.
Sorry, I'm not.
This is
Sue Bailey.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for being here to tell us about Fanny.
Yes.
Ooh,
Fanny
food science.
was the wife of a frustrated German microbiologist who was having real problems.
You mean a regular German microbiologist?
Growing microbes in the lab. What she was doing was making beef broth for her family. But of course, what was also happening was that the beef broth was used as a culture medium, letting the microbes have their feed as well.
So in her husband's lab, she's like making dinner for the fam, and then also basically unpaid, unofficial research assistant.
A little bit like that, yes. But she was also a wife, a mother, and a scientific illustrator in her own right.
Ooh.
And she was a clever woman.
So we're about to make gelatin and agar jelly, so we can really see the difference up close and personal here. I'm gonna put some of this powder in this water, but why?
Because you have to let it bloom. You have to wait for it to absorb the moisture, and then you will be heating it.
So while we wait for our gelatin to bloom, we are also going to make its jelly counterpart in agar, because this was a really big brainwave that Fanny had.
Yes, because she suddenly realized that she was thinking of her neighbors who were Dutch, and they used to live in Java in Indonesia, and brought back this substance, agar-agar, which was able to make jellies that would withstand the heat.
And like already we can see the difference with agar because it wants to come to a really high boil.
It does, indeed.
Whereas what we're about to do with the gelatin, we have to be so careful about what temperature it comes to.
Ooh, the gelatin is very sensitive. If you are wanting your gelatin jelly to set I'm afraid you've got to go and put it in the fridge.
And of course, in the 1800s, early 1900s, refrigeration, kind of hard to come by.
Whereas friend Agar, you can make it set after about an hour at room temperature.
We love her. Simple. Oh. Disaster. As always, absolutely classic moves on my part.
You can already see actually a bit of a difference because, look, that's quite cloudy, isn't it?
Yeah. And this one.
That one's really nice and clear.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. So this is just winner all the way around.
Oh, very much so. It's the perfect medium.
Oh my God, I love it. I love that it came from the kitchen. All of these men trying to figure out the solution to this big scientific problem. And then she's like, you know what?
Guys, try this.
And from the kitchen, we come into my favorite place, the lab. Today, agar is sold for biotechnological purposes as this dried powder. So this is from seaweed, how exciting. And we rehydrate that in the lab. So we add liquid back in and we pour it into petri dishes like this so that we can grow all kinds of lovely things and know more about them.
Yay,
At the time,
petri
Fanny's
dishes.
agar solution for her husband's lab allowed them to discover the bacteria that cause really serious diseases like tuberculosis. And like all good chefs, scientists started to tinker with their recipes.
TB.
See, agar is so hardy that you can add stuff to it really easily without disturbing it. So scientists figured out that by adding or subtracting certain ingredients, they could determine exactly which kind of microbe would grow on a plate. And that's exactly what we did in my lab recently. This is a video of some of these special plates that select for specific kinds of microbes. And this blue one here, one of my favorites, if something grows on this plate and it's this color, then we know it can only be the bacterium B. cereus. No, seriously, that is actually what the bacterium is called. It causes really severe food poisoning. Now, methods like these totally revolutionized medicine. A medical professional could now take a swab directly from you, the patient, and grow it on a special plate like one of those. Depending on what grows and how it looks when it grows, they can determine pretty much exactly what germ is making you sick. And your medical team can even use agar-based plates to determine what treatment is going to be most effective. So, agar has come a long way from its humble, accidental beginnings. It's now commonly used all over the world, not only in personal cooking, but also in industrial food production as a stabilizer and thickener.
Yeah.
Add to that its use in science labs all over the world, plus all of its other fun and funky uses like insect farming? Who knew? And it's no surprise that the world uses a lot of agar, meaning a lot of seaweed.
I know about the insect farming one actually. It's people make cricket food also using agar to make it like little jelly cubes and feed them to them.
2019 alone, 3.7 million tons of agar-containing seaweeds were produced.
I've been to the pet store one
worldwide.
too many times.
And that's just agar. Seaweeds actually produce a whole host of really useful compounds in addition to agar. So where is all this seaweed coming from? Oh, this is exciting. Okay. Oh my God, it's so heavy.
Seaweed.
Whoa.
Seaweed.
It's a big boy.
Holy schmoly, this is so much seaweed. And it's just like a tiny amount of what you guys harvested?
2 plants out of all of the plants that we hauled out of the sea.
Oh.
So we grew this bad boy in about 5 to 6 months.
That's like a stingray.
A microscopic little bit to this.
That's incredible. And what does this particular kind grow for? Like, what are you growing it for? What purpose?
It makes a lot of really useful compounds that you can use in fertilizer, the biopharmaceutical industry.
I want to eat it.
Beauty industry, that sort of stuff.
I want to
But we
eat
do
it
also grow
really
species that
bad.
you can actually eat at the farm as well.
God dang it, I
mean,
can't
you
eat
can try
this
eating
one.
this, but yeah, that looks fine. I wouldn't eat the green bits.
Oh, it's crunchier than I thought it was going to be. Very salty. Tastes like ocean. Now, the word seaweed is simple, but it's actually a little more complicated than the way we've been talking about it so far.
50% sea,
Seaweed
50%
is a very
weed.
general term for macroalgae, or the kind of algae that we can see with our naked eye. But if we want to go simple, we can break
Algae.
it down by color.
Plant.
Brown seaweeds are things like kelp, which is what Rhina here works on.
Brown.
Then we have green seaweeds, like your classic sea lettuce, and funky looking guys like this one.
Ooh, funky.
And then we have red, the largest group of seaweeds. And species in this group are the ones that produce agar. But, okay, how the heck do you farm a seaweed?
Well, it's a fairly involved process. So this is the big boy, but it will make fertile material. Every species makes it at a different part of their body. So this one here will get fertile patches along the little fringes here.
On its frill.
Yeah, exactly. It's fertile frill, let's call it. We will collect fertile material from the wild, and we take it into a nursery where we do the next steps of the processing.
Seaweed nursery. Baby
so here
plants.
We've got some fertile tissue, and we put it in the fridge overnight and dried it out basically, which means that this seaweed is very, very stressed. So hopefully as soon as we put it in the seawater, it will release all of its spores. And in the tube it goes.
Oh, I get
it.
it.
It will give us lots and lots of spores, and they are so small, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll be getting about 10,000 to 200,000 spores per milliliter. So a lot of potential seaweed babies being formed right now. So you can see that some of them are already settling. So they're basically
Gotta go D&D. Nice. Enjoy reading seaweed.
And then when they're ready to settle down, they get nice and round and fat and ready to grow.
Oh, orbs.
And we leave them to their own devices, give them some food, and then they'll grow into what I'm looking at under the microscope right now. So they are the sexual life phase, and we keep them only in red light because as soon as you give them blue light, they will try and make babies. And we basically bulk up our cultures so we can make them grow big and strong. And once we have really, really big cultures, we'll take them out of the red light zone and we'll put them in the blue light, which is the cue for the little fellas to become fertile. And then we seed them onto the twine that we have in the aquarium. So here we have one of our spools. We'll put our cultures in here with the line.
Spool?
And we'll keep it here for a few weeks and it gets nice and big and it attaches to this twine over here. And then we take that out to the boat and onto the ocean. One of the main challenges at the moment for seaweeds is ocean warming. So most kelps, particularly our temperate species, so they like slightly colder water. And actually, if you go to any sort of temperate coastline in the world, you'll find kelps. They grow at about 25% of the world's coastlines, I think. Whoa. We call kelps ecosystem engineers, so they completely change the environment they grow in. But everything's getting hotter, and they don't really like that. So there is massive losses of kelp worldwide due to ocean warming. So we're trying to figure out how can we grow it best, and how can we grow it in a way that it would still be able to grow, 50, 100 years from now. Trying to figure out, how to grow the seaweed so that you will have the most amount of biomass, but also trying to figure out how can we grow it so it doesn't impact the environment negatively. So trying to research, what types of other species does it interact with? Are those the same types of species you have in a natural kelp forest, or are they completely different? We're starting to work on things like the microbiome of seaweed, which means that there's lots and lots of little microbes that live on the surface of the seaweed that might actually help them be healthy and protect them against diseases and help them be more thermotolerant into a warmer future. And with our colleagues here and with everyone all over the world, what we're trying to do is make sure that natural kelp will be around 100 years from now, and that we can grow seaweed 100 years from now, and we keep these fabulous ecosystems in place.
Plants. Stunning.
So whether we're farming it, preserving it in the wild, using it for science and medicine, or for delicious food, seaweed and all the cool stuff it makes is an essential part of our modern world, and we've got to protect it. So I'm glad people like Raina are on the job. And who knows, maybe the next big innovation in science is hiding in that old hand-me-down recipe you've got in your kitchen, or even in your dirty dishes that you've left out too long. We can only hope.
Go. That's another bowl. Thank you. Does anybody want any? Please help yourself.
Sorry.
No, you're great.
They do look very tasty, and I like it. Anyway, I think that should be the last video for today. Gotta end it on, a pretty neat note. Love seaweed. Alright. Let's see where I am on the thing. Oh, well, not too bad. Well, anyway. Thank you guys for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Yay! Thank you for coming in for another episode of Finding Out Friday. Hope you had a good time. Thank you, Brandon.
Wait, didn't you just say one more video, or?
Did I?
I thought that's what you said. Am I stupid? Am I going crazy?
I don't remember.
You do it. I mean, if you want to stop here, we can stop here.
I don't know. I legitimately don't remember. So yeah. Engie. Tomorrow is gonna be the Super Streamer Lobby for Tetriel. Fun games. just kind of quirky bits, fun things. Just we'll see how that goes. Make sure you guys say before you go, of course. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. It was very nice meeting you with Smolma. Good night. Good night.
Good night.